Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you, and if you're new here, please do well to hit the red subscribe button. So today I'll be showing you how to cut an asymmetric dress with a ruffle at the hem. I'm supposed to be drafting directly on my fabric, but I noticed that this is the fabric I'm working with. If I draft on it, the markings wouldn't show, so I'll be using this pattern and I'll transfer it to my fabric. So let's get started. So I'll be cutting the front and the back together, and for the back piece I have a zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. Now I have my vertical measurements here, but I'll quickly go through it. So this is going to be our shoulder line or our starting point. So from here to this marking, this is 8.5 inches. This is my chest line. This is my bust point, 10 inches. This is my waistline, which is 16.5 inches, and this is 24.5 inches, which is my hip line, and the length is 37 inches. So I want mine to be longer, so you determine the length you want to work with. So the next thing I'm going to do is to impute the shoulder measurement divided by 2. So that's 7 inches. So I'll impute 7 inches here plus ½ inch for allowance. So I have 7.5 inches here, and I'll be dropping down here by ½ inch for the shoulder slant. So next I'm going to impute the neckline, and I want to make use of a boat or a canoe neckline. So I'll be using a width of 4.5 inches, and depth for the front piece, the depth will be 4 inches. I would connect the front neckline like so. So for the back neckline, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches for the back, and I'll connect. So I have the back neckline and the front neckline. Now I'll connect to this point I marked. The next thing I'm going to do is to impute my armhole depth, which is 8 inches. So at this point, I'll be drawing a straight line down to this chest line. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place the bust pan measurement divided by 2. So I'm working with 3.5 inches plus ½ inch allowance. So that will be 4 inches. So I'll come at the bust point here, and I'll mark 4 inches. And at the waistline, 4 inches. And at the hip, 4 inches, and I'll connect with a straight line. So to determine the length of the darts, I'll be coming down at this bust point by 1 inch, and at the hip line I'll be going up by 2 inches. Then on the waist I'll be taking ½ inch for the darts, ½ inch, and I'll connect this to this point and to this point. So for the back dart, you'll be going up by 1 inch on the bust point. Then you connect from here to the waist and to the hip line. So I'll do that now. Next, I'll be imputing my horizontal measurement. So on this chest line, I'll be imputing 1/4 of my bust circumference, which is 10 inches, and plus 1.5 inches for seam allowance. So 1.5 inches. Then on the waistline, I'll be imputing 1/4 of my waist circumference, and I'm working with 8 3/4 plus 1 inch for the dart, and 1.5 inches for allowance. And on the hip line, I'll be imputing 1/4 of my hip measurement, which is 11 inches, plus 1.5 inches for seam allowance. So at the hem here, I'm going to be imputing 1/4 of my hip measurement minus 1.5 inches. So that will give me 9.5 inches. Plus 1.5 inches seam allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect these marks. Next, I'll place my curve like this and connect to get my armhole curve. I'll add a 1/2 inch allowance on the shoulder here for the seam allowance, then I will cut out. So guys, this is what I have. So the next thing I will do, I'll be transferring this to my fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut it out on my fabric, and I also secured the zip allowance. Next thing we're going to do is to work at this bottom part. We need to create the slant. So you're going to determine where you want to be high and where you want to be low. So I want the left side to be high and the right side to be low. So from the hip line, you'll be coming down 3 inches or 4 inches, but I'm going to be making use of 5 inches because I don't want mine to be short. So I'll mark 5 inches here. From this 5 inches, I'll connect with a slant line all the way to this point. So I'm going to cut out this slant. Next thing I will do is to use this to cut out the lining for the front and the back, and with the lining I'll be turning the neck and the sides. So I've turned the neck with the lining, and I've also sewn the dart. Next, I'm going to be sewing my zipper, and I'll be closing the sides with the allowance I have. So guys, I've closed the sides and I've fixed the zipper. I also went ahead to join the shoulders. So the next thing I'll be doing is to measure what I have around here. I have 21 inches, so 21 inches for the front and 21 inches for the back. That'll give me 42 inches. So because I want to make a gather ruffle here, so I'll be multiplying what I have here, which is 42 inches by 3. So 42 times 3 is 126. So I'll be cutting a width of 126 and the length will be 11.5. So I'm going to make use of 1/2 inch to join to this place and 1 inch for the hem. So this is what I have. I've already cut it out. So I'll go ahead, I'll take it to my machine and I'll run a loose stitch. So for the sleeve of our dress, I'll be making use of a balloon sleeve. So if you don't know how to make a balloon sleeve, I have a video which I'll leave in the description box, so you can check out the video. So I've done the gathers. So the next thing I will do is to fix it at this down part here with 1/2 inch. So it's just going to be like this. Then I'll also fix my sleeve. So guys, I fixed the ruffle, so this is how it looks like, and I also went ahead to fix the sleeve. So guys, thank you for watching. We've come to the end of this tutorial, and I hope this tutorial was helpful. Please like, share and subscribe to support my channel.